and welcome back to the SoftgirlCEO podcast. You're here today with Kira and Amy, and today we're going to be talking about leaving your 9 to 5 to go and pursue your dreams and the journey of leaving the 9 to 5, best ways to even comprehend leaving the 9 to 5, and how to set yourself up for security within your business.
I've actually got a lot to say about this topic, to be fair. I mean, I actually wasn't in the 9 to 5 for that long. I mean, actually, when I left school, I was in an actual 9 to 5 in an office at 16. But technically, that's the only 9 to 5 that I actually ever had. It obviously put me off so badly that I had to get out of it straight away.
What office takes you at 16? What were you doing?
Well, I was working with all adults, to be fair, but I am quite good at maths, so I just had to show that I was good at maths, and they didn't mind that I was only 16. But I basically was doing I worked for the NHS doing ophthalmic claims, so it's basically people that go and get eye tests and stuff. They fill out these forms, and I had to process all of the forms and reconcile all of the amount that needed to be paid to all the opticians. So really fun 16-year-old job.
Oh, that is anything to scar you for leaving the 9 to 5, isn't it?
It was bad.
Yeah, I had kind of similar, to be honest. When I was the first year where they told me that I had to go to college. So I think that you were as well, same year, and it was you have to go to college. You can't just go and get a job. So I actually went to college for a little bit, and then literally 3 months in, dropped out. Was not my thing. Hated the educational system, and you know what? I still hate the education system now. And I moved into an apprenticeship. And I moved into becoming, literally, it was just in childcare actually. And I worked there, and that was my first kind of taste of money. And then I decided just to do a 180 and start working with TUI, which again wasn't really the 9 to 5. That was probably where I learned that I love the freedom, because I had to go and do my work, but that gave me so much freedom to be out every night partying, to be, doing whatever I wanted, and all I had to do was show up for 7 hours at a hotel. When I came back from that, and I met, I had friends, I met an ex-partner, whatever, I kind of settled down for a little bit, and I went and worked in a direct debit company, and I was there probably for about a year and a half, and
that's a real 9 to 5.
It was real 9 to 5, literally, and all I was doing, I was just repeat on the phones every single day. And it was just you deal with one person, you come off the phone, bam, another phone call in your head. You're talking to them, bam, another phone call in your ear. Do you know what I mean? And it was just constant through the head mic, and you were just talking to these really angry people. I had people literally telling me to go kill myself because I wouldn't, because they were in £20 debt. These people were so,
I was going to say, that's probably one of the worst kind of call centers you could work in, chasing up debt and stuff like that. No way.
Yeah. Luckily, I wasn't actually in the debt department. I was in the front end, but even with those people, it was over a gym membership, for goodness sake. It's a gym membership. They miss their direct debit, they get a debt, they get £20 put on it. It's in their contract. And we would just enforce that and say, sorry, you missed your direct debit, and they would just go mental. Anyway, that was the time where I was really in between loads of different things. I was thinking about going traveling. I was thinking about how I can make more money, how I can save more money, and really what I want to do with the rest of my life. There was just so many things going on that I just didn't really even know what I was doing. So I was kind of fumbling through life. And that was when COVID hit, was one of the biggest pivotal moments in my life, I think. Before COVID, I was already exploring the online space. I was already exploring how to make money online. And I was doing it as a side piece with my 9 to 5. So I was literally working 9 till 5, sometimes 4 till 8. Sometimes I was even taking overtime at the call center just to get an extra. I think I was getting paid £9.50 an hour. I wouldn't even get up from my seat for £9.50 now, and that's not to even brag. It's just £9.50 is nothing these days.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I would be sometimes working overtime, doing 10-hour shifts at this call center, then going home and working on my side hustle. And there was nothing in my mind that told me that I was too tired to work on my hustle. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was like hustle, side hustle, there was nothing there. It was, I get home, I go to the gym, I come home, I do another 3 hours of work because I'm working on me. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with me. Never in my wildest dreams, though, did I ever think that I would be able to leave my 9 to 5. That wasn't even a thing. I just wanted extra cash in the bank. I literally just wanted a bit of extra money. And then that kind of side hustle kind of dwindled out. It really wasn't for me. It was the Forex industry. It was drop shipping industry. It just wasn't my jam. Anyway, and then I had enough money in the bank. And this is probably where I can't speak truly on people that are literally going to go and leave the 9 to 5 and stay in the same position, because I got made redundant first. So luckily they kind of like booted me into my position, but I was going to leave anyway. But like mentally, I was just so happy that I was being made redundant, because that was my force point. I think that was like the universe saying to me, like, here you go, here's your opportunity, like, don't shit on it, basically. And I just remember just going, fine, I'm being made redundant. This is my position now to go and do some traveling and try and figure it out while I travel. And that's pretty much what I did. And even though it was scary, what the beauty of on my side of doing things anyway was, I had a bit of money behind me anyway. I had ideas of how I was going to make money online. And then I went traveling. Living anywhere but the UK is pretty much cheaper these days, and was 4 years ago anyway. So, I was paying £350 rent to live at my mum's and living in a box room. Or I could go and live in Mexico where I was paying £200 and living, in my own nice apartment. And food, again, a hell of a lot cheaper. Everything was so much cheaper that actually all I needed to bring in for myself in a month, I set a goal, was £800.
Yeah.
Now, anyone that's wanting to leave the 9 to 5 and not go traveling, I've never actually
It's going to be a lot more than that.
Yeah, it is going to be a lot more than that. But in all honesty, most of the time, the people build their businesses is because they want to go traveling. So if you actually are listening to this and thinking, I want to leave my 9 to 5, I'm making a little bit of money now, and I've got a little bit of money in the bank, go traveling. Just go. It will give you all your time back, like all your time back. You're not working at a 9 to 5 anymore. So you have 8 more hours in the day to go and find clients. You have 8 more hours in the day to take courses and learn more about yourself and more about your business. And all you need to do is actually bring in probably about half of what you actually need to bring in to stay in the UK. And when I moved out to Mexico, I literally said to myself, I cannot go back to the UK now until I can afford to live in the UK. And I just stayed in Mexico until I could afford to do that. And then when I got back to the UK, obviously everything's so much more expensive, but I built a business to be able to just about sustain staying in the UK. And then, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. If there are people listening who want to stay in the UK, and they want to leave their 9 to 5, which most of the time people do this for the freedom. So it's kind of like, but if you are wanting to stay in the UK, then literally all you need to do is have a couple £1,000 behind you. If shit hits the fan, you go back to your 9 to 5 for a little bit, But if you have a little bit of cash behind you, then just live between your means and have all of that time that the 9 to 5 is taking away from you, so that you can work on your dreams.
To be honest, like I built I say I only had one 9 to 5, which technically I'm thinking office job, get there at 9, literally finish at 5, and kind of don't go on your phone all day kind of thing. That's what I think in my head I've got as the 9 to 5. But I obviously did have another job until I had a few jobs between me being 16 and 19 before I started working myself, and I got made redundant twice in that time as well. I
That's the
literally got made
universe literally
redundant.
saying to you, Kira, you don't need to be in this kind of role.
Yeah.
Like, go.
Literally, just as I was going to leave my retail job, so it wasn't really a 9 to 5, but obviously there would be days where I would work 9 till 5, but most of the time I would work 11 till 5. So it was only like a 6 hour shift, which was pretty good for me. And I'd literally get home from that, and then I would work on my Depop and stuff. So to be fair, I do think that it is smart to stay in a job and have some income, or like, so that income that I had, obviously I was 16. I lived at home. I didn't pay rent. Like, obviously I had all of that like that was helping me, but that money that I made, which was like £750 a month, I made from working at that job, because I got paid £4.50 an hour. But also it was the easiest job. Like, I worked with the best people, so it was fine. But I just used that £750 to fund like my life at 16. I wasn't really doing much, to be honest, apart from going out with my friends and like going to like festivals and things. So I used that money to sustain my life. And then I literally had, so I had like my PayPal account, which obviously we spoke about the other day. It got banned in the end because I wasn't allowed a PayPal account at 16. That PayPal account that I used to sell everything on Depop, I literally sold my iPad, which gave me £150. I then used that £150 to buy some stuff that I was going to sell on Depop. And ever since then, I just bootstrapped it. Like, I turn that 150 into 300. That 300 then turned to 600. The 600 then turned to 1,000. And I just kept it going like that. And then in the end, like, I only really used to spend that money on myself if I found something else online that I would want to buy. Like, if I thought, oh, I want to buy that pair of shoes, I would use that money to buy like my clothes and shoes and stuff, really, because it was a business expense, to be honest, because I was obviously selling stuff on Depop. Business expense. And it wasn't until I did my A-levels. I finished my A-levels at 18. So most of that time I was working like part-time. I don't think I was making £750 from my job when I was doing my A-levels, but I was literally just working 4 Saturdays, and then I had 5 days a week at college and doing my like Depop. And then when I left, I went like full-time. Yeah, it was full-time. And then I got to like 19 and I was like, I don't need to do this for like, at that point, obviously I got paid more. I think I got paid £6.50 an hour at 19. I was like, I really don't need to do this. The only thing that was good about it was, obviously, I think I have touched on this in another episode, that I did run my Depop from when I was working there. So like, I would work there, the shop would be empty, and I'd be like, right, okay, time to go on my phone, time to respond to messages. Like, I was allowed on my phone whenever I wanted. I would literally stand on the shop floor buying stuff on eBay to sell on Depop while I was working. So obviously my job did make it very easy for me to actually create a path that I was going to go down anyway. But I definitely think that having the stability there, that I knew that I was, no matter what, if I didn't make any money on Depop that month, I was still going to get my £750. Like, it was definitely good to have that. And I think if I was to, obviously, when I started my marketing agency last year, I wasn't starting from zero, because I kind of merged the two businesses that I had. So I had my custom trainers, and then quickly like started my marketing as a side hustle to that, but I still had my custom trainers. I would say that going like fully in, unless you've got quite a bit of money behind you, I think is quite risky. But like, to be able to do something as well, also I think to have the motivation to have a 9 to 5 job but also work on your side hustle really does show that you do have the motivation and the discipline to actually be an entrepreneur, because it's not easy. And it's definitely not easy to motivate yourself every single day when no one is telling you to get out of bed, no one's telling you need to do this work. And a lot of people can't do that. Like, realistically, I've seen it a lot, like with people around me, like they find it hard to motivate themselves, and that's normal. But I think also having the like grit to be able to get home from your 9 to 5, go to the gym maybe, then work on your side hustle until you go to sleep, really shows like dedication. Like, you are going to be a successful entrepreneur if you can do that, I think.
I totally agree. I think that at the start of your journey, how much effort you're putting in, it actually shows how much reward you're going to get in the future. It comes down to people saying, "Oh, I wish I could do that," or "I wish I do what you do." So, but you can.
Oh, you're
You've
so
just got to go
lucky.
and put the effort. Yeah, or you're so lucky.
You're so
That's
lucky is something that I
lucky.
used to get
Down
all the
to
time.
luck.
Where I literally, when I was much younger, it was like, oh, you're so lucky that you can do that. I'm like, yeah, but I go to my job and then I work until, because I used to work until 3 a.m. and then get up and go to my job at 11. Obviously, I still got a decent sleep because I worked at 11 o'clock. It worked well for me, but I
Yeah.
still worked. Like, I would take the pictures outside of 50 items, let's say. I would take them all outside. I'd then spend that evening easy, sat in bed, listening to some music or a podcast or watching something and just uploading them, like chilling, but still
But people
working.
don't want to do that.
But that's still
Most people
doing
don't even
something.
want to do that. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I do believe that it is really, really important that you have money behind you when you decide to leave the 9 to 5. When you
definitely.
decide to leave the 9 to 5, don't just leave when you've started making decent money. Leave when you can afford to live your lifestyle and some.
Yeah,
If say it, because you never actually know what's going to happen. And when you first begin in your journey, you land these clients, you think, oh, that's amazing. I'm going to be with this client forever, or, you know, £18 an hour is amazing. And then you start to realize that you move through the journey, you're like, £18 an hour is not amazing. And you start moving up. So you start thinking, well, I don't want to work for this. And you're working, and you go through stages within your business. You're never going to be all the way. It's not plain sailing at all.
no.
I have had moments in my business where I have literally looked at myself in the mirror and thought, just go back to the 9 to 5. And I'm so glad I didn't. But the 9 to 5, thinking about leaving your 9 to 5. And when we say 9 to 5, maybe we don't actually mean literal 9 to 5. Maybe we mean that security money. That is your security money. And if you're thinking about taking away that security money, but also giving yourself back 8 hours a day because you don't have to go and work for someone else, and you really want to do this for yourself, then you absolutely can. But you need to show that dedication. And you need to have some money behind you. Have at least 3 to 4 grand, absolutely no debt. Do not
Yeah,
be in personal debt and leave your 9 to 5. You must clear that personal debt. Have about 4 or 5K savings, and then think about leaving, because one month it might be amazing. You might bring in, 2, 3K, like when you're just starting out. Then you might bring in
yeah,
4, then you might bring in 5. And then one month you could get that dreaded email by 3 of your clients saying, one saying, my business has gone under, another saying, I found someone cheaper, another one saying, I'm really sorry, I actually don't need you anymore. And you've just lost it in the space of a month, and you
yeah,
have nothing to fall back on. And I've actually been in that situation before. Again, when we speak about, both of us really, when we speak about it, we definitely did have that. I went traveling, so I didn't have loads of responsibility. I had zero responsibility. And if you actually don't have any responsibility and you're listening to this, then this is the perfect time. And if you do, just
yeah.
make sure that you've got backup. Just make sure that you have just got
That's
some
what I was
backup.
going to say as well. Like, we're obviously both 25, and I mean, we started our businesses when we were younger than this. And to be honest with you, even at my age of 25, I do live on my own with my friends, so I do have that as a responsibility. But to be honest with you, I don't have kids. Like, I don't have things, I don't have a mortgage. So I don't have massive like responsibilities right now, which actually makes it like the best time to take the risks, like with doing new business ventures, with partnering with people to see if you can make something work. Whereas in 5 years, if I did have kids and a mortgage and stuff, I'd be a lot harder pushed to be like, oh, let me just go and put my money into this, because what if I need that money?
Mm,
Or like,
yeah.
obviously, that's what I mean. Like, if you're young and you really want to go for something, I would say absolutely go for it, because this is the time where you have less responsibilities, especially if you still live with your parents and stuff. Like, likelihood is, yeah, you probably do pay rent, but if you actually had your back against the wall and you couldn't one month, then I know not for everybody, but so a lot of parents would probably say, don't worry about pay it next month. You don't have your landlord knocking on your door demanding your rent. So this is definitely a good time to take risks, and I can definitely say that I've taken full advantage of that, especially like being like 19 and not going to uni. That was a big risk for me, but it all paid off. And yeah, I would say if you're young, go for it. And if you're older, you can still do it, obviously, 100%. I think you just need to be more wary about like the responsibilities that you do have, because you don't want to leave yourself in a tough position.
If you live at home and you want to start a business, start yesterday.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Start yesterday. Like, you have got so many opportunities because you live at home. And it is actually one of the biggest things that I continuously say to my mum. I am so grateful. And again, I have not come from a money background at all. You know, council house, living paycheck to paycheck with credit cards type, you know, just like getting it through. But the one thing that I did have, and I'm always so thankful for, is that I was never forced or pushed to move out, to have to fend for myself at such a young age. Because when you do have that, you do have responsibilities. You do have to question everything that you're doing, because you have £1,000 coming out for rent, or you have £600 coming out for rent. You then have to deal with your food. I was very, very independent living at home, did all my food, had my own fridge. Literally, I just paid basically for the room. But obviously you're living at home, rent's a little bit cheap. Rent's 3 times cheaper, you know. I still had to pay my way.
Definitely.
But,
Yeah.
you know, I had, again, that 1 month where I really was back against the wall. I said, I'm at the moment, like, it's pay for all of my subscriptions, and pay to keep my business going, or pay rent. And, you know, luckily there was that leeway of, okay, just pay it next month, or, you know, pay it weekly when you get the extra cash.
Yeah.
So if you live at home and you want to build a business, it's the best time to do it. Like, absolutely do it.
Definitely. Only other thing that I would say as well is, like, if you really want to do something, you just need to believe that you can do it. Because like, there's been times where my back's been against the wall, like with my other business, and I can't thank my dad enough. My dad's always been there, exactly the same way that you've just said, like with your mum. My dad's always been there for me, always helped me, like if I need it. And we're in very privileged position to have that.
Absolutely.
And it's amazing. But also, like, your back can be against the wall, and that is the time where you will work the absolute hardest, because you will realize, oh shit, I don't want to go back to the 9 to 5. And maybe people love the 9 to 5. A lot of people love the stability and couldn't even imagine being an entrepreneur and not knowing kind of where your next, like, especially at the start, you don't necessarily know when your next like big amount of money is going to come in. But like, you just make it work. Like, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you just
Absolutely.
have to make it work. You just have to believe that you can
Yeah.
do it somehow. Like, I just knew in my head, like, it doesn't matter what this throws at me, I am gonna make it work. And you have to explore different avenues, and you have to make things like work. You have to do things that maybe you didn't think that you would do, but like, you will definitely make it work. You just need to have that in your like head, and like, not manifest it, but like, just believe really that you can.
I'm a huge believer that your journey is your journey, and without the lows of my journey, I wouldn't be as strong as I am in my highs. You know, I wouldn't be to a point now where a low for me right now, a low is not a low as it was 2 years ago, because I've learned from that low. And I've made sure that I'm secure enough to never get that low. I don't know if that sounds, you know, but it's stepping stones.
Definitely.
But always having, you know, just being aware of your mindset and being aware of how much you want it. You know, what is your why? If you have a strong enough why, and I know people always say this, but if you do, I just knew I just wanted freedom. I hated the education system. I hate the matrix, the fact that everyone gets up. But and what makes life beautiful, I will add to the fact that some people do love the stability and they do love the 9 to 5, but that's what makes life beautiful. Our world wouldn't work if we didn't have people who loved the 9 to 5. But then our world wouldn't work if we didn't have people that wanted to do the entrepreneurial journey, because the people that love the 9 to 5 wouldn't have anyone to work for. So it worked perfectly. And there's nothing wrong with loving the 9 to 5, but we're not here to talk about loving the 9 to 5. We're here to talk about loving the entrepreneurial journey, and the fact that if you truly believe that you are destined for more than the 9 to 5, or destined for more than what you're currently experiencing in life, then you can absolutely do it. And there are so many opportunities out there. And the last thing that I'll say on this is that if there is someone that you follow that you are inspired by, don't feel afraid to actually just drop them a message and say, by the way, I'm really inspired about, what you do. Is there anything, any advice that you would give me? Because I promise you, 90% out of 100 people would message back, send you a voice note, and tell you exactly what you need to go and do. There's only the 10% that might be a little bit snobby, and those people, they're just not secure enough in their journey. They're not secure enough in themselves. But most people will send you a message and give you practical advice about how to get out the 9 to 5 if you really ask for it.
Definitely. And yeah, I mean, whatever you want to do, you just need to believe that you can do it. And also, believing is one thing, but you need to work very hard.
Yeah.
But still, like, if you enjoy what you do, it doesn't ever feel like working. Like, people always say to me all the time, like, oh, you're always working. And I'm like, yeah, but it's barely work. I don't wake up in the morning and think, oh, I've got to work today. That's never even crossed my mind.
No.
Like, I don't even think I did feel like that when I worked my jobs when I was younger, but I was young and it was different. I know a lot of people who wake up and they dread, or they are at the weekend and they are dreading Monday. I love Monday.
I love Mondays.
I love Mondays. I'm like,
love Mondays. Absolutely. I get up and I'm like, right, a whole night, like 5 days of routine. Whole 5 days
week.
of like, absolutely. There is literally no more Monday blues. And there are, and I even remember being on the weekend, like I'd be out in a bar drinking back when I used to be Fun Amy, and and I'd be thinking already about having to get up at 7 a.m. on a Monday. And you think you never mentally switch off. And if you don't enjoy that, then there is opportunity out there for you now. Definitely. And I think on that, it's pretty much a wrap. Make sure that you have security. Make sure that you have security behind you. Make sure you have a little bit of money. Make sure that you know what you want to do. Ditch the 9 to 5 for 3 months. See how it works. What's the worst thing that could happen? You could literally have to go back to the 9 to 5 like everybody else.
Yeah. And believe in yourself and do work hard.
And that is our take on leaving the 9 to 5 and pursuing your dreams. If you enjoyed this podcast, please come over to the SoftgirlCEO podcast or on Instagram and on TikTok. Come say hi. Come tell us your dreams. Come tell us what stage you are in your journey. Connect with us, and we will see you on the next episode.